Meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. We all know a very commonly used word for this phenomenon: sustainability. Transportation has been one of the essential needs of the human race since its evolution. And that has led to the evolution of the mode of transportation as well. That's why the wheel is counted as one of the most important innovations by humans. And then came the very first motorized vehicle by Carl Benz to speed up transportation. Today, we can't imagine our lives without a vehicle. But on that road, we kind of forgot to take care of sustainability. Thankfully, things started changing over the last couple of decades, and nature made us think about new modes of transportation. So what's next? What will be the vehicles of tomorrow? Well, looking at the current scenario, the most potential technology for the vehicles of the future is battery electric. But we are still not sure how sustainable even battery electric vehicles are. We are going to talk to some experts to understand why the electrification of vehicles is a necessity. Is it the most fitting solution? What are the developments that are shaping the EV sector? And are there any other sustainable options?
Basically, the search is for an alternate propulsion system which is less carbon and hydrocarbon intensive. And the reason for that is very well known. For example, we have all seen the severity of climate-related disasters happening. Climate change is a worry. It has a health implication. It has energy security implications. All these reasons are which are leading to the search of a better propulsion system.
Electrification, I personally think, is the need of the hour. There are many other alternative technologies available as well. There is hydrogen and other technologies, but none of them come close to electric cars at the moment. Electric cars are the more viable alternative sources right now. Now, there is a big debate on the fact that whether electric cars are really that clean. But when you take this whole argument into consideration, we know that most of the electricity generated in India is still thermal, which means it is coal powered. But taking that into account as well, the net emissions of an electric vehicle are zero. And I do think that if you want to leave something green in your future, if you want to leave something good for your kids, then electrification is the only way forward.
Some vehicle manufacturers claim to have achieved carbon neutrality. Others say they are on the path to reducing emissions by introducing EVs. So what is the difference between carbon reduction and carbon neutrality? And how is it going to help in improving sustainability?
Carbon reduction is when I am putting out less carbon than I was previously putting out in the atmosphere. Carbon neutralizing is when I have pulled out similar amount of carbon that I have put into the atmosphere. Carbon positive is when I'm removing more than what I am putting into the atmosphere. And lastly, the good thing about Volvo talking is that they are trying to create a totally carbon-free product, which will be free to operate, free to manufacture. So that will be interesting. Everybody is working on this area for known reasons.
But is making electric vehicles the only way to reduce carbon emission? Or are there some other methods as well? Is there any manufacturer that has achieved carbon neutrality yet?
Actually, a lot of manufacturers today claim to have reached carbon neutralization. One of the biggest examples I would take is Tesla, who are now preparing to enter India. So according to the claims of the company, they're totally carbon neutral. Not only that, Toyota, in some of its facilities where they manufacture the Prius and other hybrid electric vehicles claim that their facilities are totally carbon neutral. Carbon neutral is a very difficult process. It starts with a lot of things. For example, you would have read that UAE, as this thing, have gone totally paperless. That is one big step to going carbon neutral. Every small step goes a long way. Most companies adopt some sort of environment, protection. For example, today we have moved to water-based paints. Now, water-based paints play a big role in painting a car when that somewhat gives you a carbon neutral sense. But I still think we are very far away from the point where vehicle manufacturers can claim to be carbon neutral. Even in the world, as I said, only 2 or 3 companies have so far reached this potential.
Electric vehicles can help in reducing the carbon footprint of the automotive sector, but the cost of batteries remains the biggest barrier against EV adoption. Today, the most significant technology we have is lithium-ion, and that makes everyone dependent on a few selected countries either having lithium reserves or facilities for its refinement. With an estimated 42,000 tons of lithium produced in 2019, Australia by far remains the biggest supplier of lithium. It is only the 5th largest reserve of lithium in the world. On the other hand, China controls 80% of the world's lithium refining and 77% of the world's cell capacity. And that makes it the single largest consumer as well. So, are manufacturers working on any other solutions for battery technology? Or is lithium-ion the only solution we have right now?
People are working on improving energy density. They are working on the safety. They are working on recharging and again. So those are the 2-3 areas where people are working on. So initially we had the cathode chemistry, which was focused on nickel and cobalt. Okay, we all know cobalt is very expensive. So people have tried aluminium. Now people are trying to look at some other solutions which will take away the liquid electrolytes and change that with solid state electrolytes. That is very promising because the battery energy density significantly improves in that area. Once the battery energy density improves, the range will also improve.
The next stage of development is graphene batteries. Manufacturers are now working on graphene because graphene is more energy dense. You require shorter periods of charging for a graphene battery compared to a lithium-ion battery. The biggest thing that kills batteries are what they call the memory effect. Number of charges and discharges that you can do, amount of deep discharge you can do, deep charging you can do. So that way, graphene is proving to be a very good technology. But the only problem is graphene is very expensive at this point in time and not really suited to automotive use. But as I said, technology is changing. Manufacturers are constantly working on this. So there are a number of other things happening. For example, very large capacity capacitors which store energy. But the problem with capacitors is you have to give it up immediately also. So you need some way to make that energy stick into a capacitor. So different manufacturers are working on different solutions. But let us see over the next 2-3 years what comes up as the best real alternative to lithium-ion.
While cost is a major deterrent for many buyers, it is not a concern. Many people who can easily afford electric vehicles still don't want to make the switch. What are their concerns?
Whether or not I am driving long distance, the range anxiety is very real to me. And it's one of the reasons why people are hesitating in buying the electric vehicles. So now we have to think of charging from a customer point of view, not just from technical point of view. So today, if you think, the customer finds it very easy to find a refueling option in the ICE technology vehicles. But now here, he has to think of various options. Now I'll give you a scenario so today people are talking about the most popular charging destination or charging location for electric vehicles is home charging, right? So is your home design or is your home complex? amenable to providing a charging facility? That is one. Second, workplace charging. Commonly, we go to shopping malls, so shopping mall charging. Third is, what percentage would we reserve in the parking slots for EVs?
So, how can we overcome range anxiety? What are the solutions that can assure people that they are not going to be stuck midway in their journey with an electric vehicle?
One of the key important thing is the charger uniformity. So still, apart from China, where they have done some level of standardization, other markets are still struggling with the charger standardization. Now, the public charging will continue to play an important role, like the petrol pump today. Now, what will be the business model? Where will the land come from? Where will the capex be satisfied from? What will be the pricing? All these questions are very open, because there is a private pricing of power, there is a public pricing of power.
Any highway you go across, there are median points where you stop for a coffee break or maybe to have something to eat or something. If you have a charging point which is attached next to it, by charging point I mean a charging park, where there are say 30, 35 chargers, you need to do it now so that in the future you don't have a problem. In the future, most cars will become electric, and then they can all use the charging infrastructure. You see, in our country, we also have another very unique problem, and that is two-wheelers. We are mostly dependent on two-wheelers rather than cars for personal transportation. And we need to have a charging solution which not only charges a car, but also charges a two-wheeler. And two-wheeler battery requirements and charging infrastructure are very different. You would probably end up, blowing up a scooter battery if you put in too much power into it at one point. So our challenges are different. And our ways of implementation will have to be different. But yes, going forward, answering your questions, you'll need to put up charger parks everywhere, which is capable of charging all types of vehicles, from commercial vehicles, personal use four-wheelers, to personal use two-wheelers, or maybe a three-wheeler in between as well.
Establishing a standard charging infrastructure is one solution. But still, the charging time for an EV, even with a fast charger, is much more compared to refueling an IC engine-powered vehicle. So apart from charging an electric vehicle, do we have a quicker option for refueling EVs?
See, again, it all depends on how you package a car in the future. You'd be aware that in many sports cars and cars of a similar thing, they generally have the engine maybe up front and the transmission at the back. That is done specially to make sure that the weight balance is 50-50. Or they mount the engine in the center to maintain that balance. Now, what stops you from, let's say you have your batteries at the bottom of the car, which give you that perfect distance. You might have a simple way where, maybe you can open two catches and take the battery out. It is not a very difficult thing to design. Design of the future has to work on modular platforms. We already have heard this term when number of manufacturers use the same platform to manufacture different cars. So if that is possible to manufacture a different vehicle, I don't foresee a problem where it is used to swap batteries using a modular architecture.
Battery swapping sounds like a very potent solution for instantly charging electric vehicles. But is this method good only for passenger cars, or can other segments profit from it as well?
So clearly, I would exclude medium and heavy commercial vehicles from this, because they normally fly on large range distances, right? And their battery density required is very different. But things like buses, where there is a proper bus depot, are more amenable to this. Two-wheeler is very amenable to this. Last mile delivery vehicles are very amenable to this. The focus should be on prioritizing what to electrify first, rather than chasing all the goals.
Electric vehicles are already available in the market, but still, the major part of the sales comes from the IC engine segment. So what are the steps that manufacturers and governments are taking to achieve the goal of electrification? Have they helped in improving the existence of EVs on roads?
All European car manufacturers are required to have at least 50% or more of their offerings in the European market to be electric by 2030. Now, companies like Volvo, companies like BMW, companies like Mercedes have already announced that most of their portfolio going forward will be electric. Companies like Audi have said that they'll be transitioning to 100% electric. So that automatically means that all the popular vehicles that we see on the road these days will move to electric. And it has to be a top-down approach. So only when the top cars get converted will you see that technology coming down to smaller cars. One big example would be, of course, Formula One type technologies, which first developed on the more expensive cars. And today, you have an anti-lock braking system or an airbag system even in the smallest of cars today. So technology has to permeate top-down. And I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, we will see very economically priced by world standards and with a good range. You see, today range anxiety is the major thing when you drive an electric vehicle. That will I be able to get to my destination? Because in an electric vehicle you can't charge like you can, fill up a petrol or a diesel vehicle.
Globally, it is interesting, and I will talk about passenger vehicles. The share, BEV market share has jumped from 2.6% to 5.8%. So that's a significant rise, although on a slow base. Now, clearly, people are spending money on this, right? The government is spending money, OEMs are spending money. So what you have to see is where this growth is coming from. A very high percentage of growth is coming from China. So if you break down the total, electrification, China accounts for 45% of sales and 60% of production.
Cars are just one part of the transportation spectrum. Will other segments also get electrified in the future? What kind of electric vehicles will there be?
Although there are all kinds of electric motorcycles available, again from small unbranded ones in China too. But today, look at a company like Harley Davidson. Now, Harley Davidson's full electric motorcycle is already on sale in the US. Now, traditionally, if you think Harley Davidson, you would equate with what? Maybe a Royal Enfield in India. You would say that, they have the same ethos, the same this thing. Today, Royal Enfield is working on an electric motorcycle. Triumph is coming out with an electric motorcycle. Harley Davidson is already out with the first electric motorcycle. So that technology is happening, that is coming. And I think that that is what the future holds.
The growth of e-commerce has necessitated a need for a faster delivery. In healthcare, there are emergencies when you need faster delivery. So there is a lot of development happening in the vertical takeoff vehicles, or eVTOLs as we call them. So drones fall into this category, light aircrafts fall into this category, and if you are a dreamer, then flying cars fall into this category. So all these are important, and there is a lot of research and development going on here. The need is to make mobility efficient and mobility clean. When fundamental disruption is happening, innovation is at the peak at that time. There are a lot of things we did not imagine 20 years ago, which are today reality. I'm sure there are a lot of things being, visualized by geeks and technocrats, which will become a reality 20 years from now.
Well, as cars become more and more electric, you will see even things like world rallying, you will see motorcycle racing, even to the extent of going to the iconic Isle of Man TT and all. Believe you me, no matter what anybody says, all formats of motor racing, whether electric, rallying, racing, they will all go to electric, fully electric. And that is what the future is which we are looking at. And this time frame is not very long. This time frame will be in 5 years or less. I would again go back to Tesla, where they have shown the Cybertruck, which is a full electric thing. They have also shown the bigger trucks, bigger transport vehicles, which they say can be electric powered. Volvo has shown off certain prototypes. MAN has shown certain prototypes. They're all electric, and going to the extent that the world's first commercial flight with an all-electric powertrain has also happened. Okay, these are not mainstream things, they're not happening every day. But if this technology is there today, I don't see a problem where in the future this technology becomes mainstream.
As we have seen, EVs are gaining popularity at a rapid pace. Many vehicle manufacturers are planning to go partially or fully electric in the coming years. How much time will it take to replace all IC engine vehicles with electric ones?
Although everybody is announcing goals, but for a lot of people, it is wait and watch as to how the technology evolves. So a lot of countries have talked about goals of 2030, ICE vehicle being discontinued. Some have talked about 2040 ICE vehicle being discontinued. These are good milestones. These are good goals. They are audacious goals. But what is important is we have to wait and see how the technology evolves. Everybody is on the bandwagon. Even reluctant OEMs, which were earlier very hesitant to jump on the bandwagon, have now been forced to come on the bandwagon. So the train has left the station. Now, how fast it kind of proceeds remains in the hands of physics.
See, Europe has, in terms of time frame of full electrification around the globe, Europe has already mandated that by 2030, 70% of vehicles sold will have to be electric. So if at 2030 is not very far, we are already getting to the verge of 2022, right? So that means you're looking at 8 years away. So if I look at that timeline, I would say that maybe 15 to 20 years from now, we will be looking at 100% electrified transportation world.
Though complete electrification of transportation will take at least 20 to 25 years, we are on the cusp of a paradigm shift in the industry. But is it the ultimate destination? Or are we going to have other, newer options in the future?
I don't think the destination is electrification. The destination is clean mobility, right? Whether it happens through hydrogen fuel cells, or it happens through electrification, or it happens through cleaner hybrid engines, right? Those are all the options in front of people, right? And maybe there are some which we haven't even conceived yet. The idea is clean mobility. The goal is not electrification. It's an emergency right now. Everybody recognizes that emergency. So there is a lot of money being plowed into this area. There's a lot of innovation happening in this area. One interesting thing is, the jury is still out whether incumbents are innovating more or the new entrants are innovating more. That's another interesting dimension to think about.
Nothing will ever solve the problem completely, but it's a step. As I said, alternative technologies like hydrogen are being explored, but a hydrogen vehicle is also basically an electric vehicle. It's just that it generates electricity from hydrogen. The problem with hydrogen is that it is an explosive material. The problem with hydrogen is a lot of other things like filling and capacities. I think that the best solution in the future would still be an electric vehicle. What would you do when you don't have much of a choice? Today you cannot buy a BS4 vehicle, okay? You have to buy a BS6. So everybody who is driving an older vehicle will have to at some point graduate to a newer vehicle. And when you graduate to a newer vehicle, you don't have the choice of buying a BS4 versus BS6. Similarly, when people who will have BS6, maybe BS7 tomorrow, whatever, when the situation comes, 10 years from now, everybody will have to at some point change their vehicle. Whether it is tomorrow, whether it's next year, next 5 years, next 7, next 10 years. At the end of 10 years, your only choices to buy will be electric. So what do? You move to an electric vehicle. So that is what I see happening, that over the next 15 to 20 years, gradually all of us will have to move to electric vehicles, and fossil fuel vehicles will be vintage and classic vehicles.
As it stands, electrification is the only viable solution to achieve zero tailpipe emission. There could be some other options in the future, But most of the clean transportation solutions that organizations are working on are related to battery electric technologies. And with that, we have to believe that the vehicles of the future will be EVs. They can be of different sizes, shapes, and forms, but they will be propelled using electricity.